Today, I wanted to give a little midday update because I wanted to point out some signals that I'm noticing, some possible reversals on shorter time frames that I'm seeing as we approach that weekly expected move on the SPY and the Qs. Tomorrow, we do get big news, and we notice that this is pretty tight in here. We haven't really seen a big move. We've really just seen this algorithmic, buying up and up as those yields continue to go down. So we want to look at some signals as we approach this weekly expected move. And one of the signals that I really like to pay attention to is that divergence around that weekly expected move. So we will get GDP, and that could be bullish for the market, but is that going to be short-lived, and we're actually going to see this fade? Because as of right now, we are seeing a big divergence here on the SPY. We're seeing that divergence proven on the RSI and the MACD at the same time as we reach exactly where the options market is priced in, how high we could go. So this is something very important to pay attention to. And just notice this about the MACD. Right here, we're at 473, and this is about 2 points higher, just 2 points, actually less than 2 points higher than this bar right here, this high. And we can notice how at that high, we're way up here. We're really far from that center line to go into a negative trend. But right over here, we're actually a lot closer, and we're actually 2 points higher. So now you are within range of that center line of starting some kind of negative trend in the near future. Now we are going to talk even further on the SPY tonight, so join us back, subscribe, and turn on those notifications if you'd like to know when that video comes out. Usually it's between the hours of 5 and 7 Central Time. But we can notice the similar thing on the Qs, right? We have this high up here, and we're seeing this trickle upward, but at the same time, the MACD is saying that the momentum to the upside is dying. So if we do want to come up with this move with the GDP, we would be hitting that weekly expected move and a trend line, a good resistance level. And at this point, you see that divergence, you're getting very close to that center line, and really all we have to do is be a little bit patient and wait for that negative trend to start. Wait for this to actually break down, find a little level of support, bounce up, and see that negative trend really confirmed in the near future. So we have to still pay attention to this. Like I said, it is still a bullish time, but it looks like algorithms are what's pushing this higher and not necessarily individual traders. One thing about this that we're going to talk about tonight, it's important to know that when you do have this big of a run up, right? We've been running up for a long time. A lot of these dips will be bought. So we're going to most likely see bigger swings in this market coming over the next few weeks. I just want you to pay attention to that because you could, see this actually fall pretty rapidly, and then we get some kind of big buyback to maybe get some kind of double top. We could see this sell off and then rally up to touch that trend line and the expected move. So there's a lot that can happen once price does start to get tight like this. And when it does spread out, we will most likely see those bigger swings up and down, which is very good for a trader. Apple here, we were talking about this trend line, and the last time we kind of held up at that trend line, we went for another move. So that still can happen as we get back into positive territory, but you'll notice how close we are to that center line. So if we do break through this level and are able to close most likely on the daily below this level and then come and take out this low, you most likely will see that negative trend continue, right? We could see that negative trend continue all the way down into this important zone where we'll have to see if buyers really want to step in or if it's just going to be some kind of dead cat bounce to head lower. So I'm just telling you this as of right now. Yes, you are in positive territory, and this can continue to go up, cross above this high. But if you do see that roll over on the MACD, you notice how close you are to negative territory, and maybe that negative trend is beginning. Now we are going to talk about Amazon up here because it's showing some interesting things outside its weekly expected move. But I first just wanted to mention I am posting things that I see as important on my Patreon. So if I do catch something and I think it can be very useful to you guys, something like divergence outside of the weekly expected move is something very important to pay attention to on individual stocks. And I am going to be posting those as well as I see them. So if you come down, I'm just noticing what I actually said with this. Amazon has created one of my favorite trend reversal signals, a divergence outside of the weekly expected move. It's a very, very good signal. Now it is only on a 15-minute chart, which means this could reverse in the 15-minute trend. It doesn't necessarily mean that the whole trend overall, like on a daily or even a 2-hour, has to reverse right now. So it's something that you can pay attention to in those shorter time frames. It's a very good little trade setup, but you have to see because we are in a very bullish time. So really wait for that to get into negative territory and confirm. It is a smaller time frame, and that's why it's not the strongest, but it has a good potential for that negative trend beginning on a 15-minute chart. So we kind of talked about that on my Patreon, and you'll notice that we do have this level right in here. So what I'm paying attention to, if this really wants to break down, really pay attention because it's a 15-minute that has confirmed since I did post it onto my Patreon. So you'll notice down on the MACD, it actually did confirm, and I gave that out pretty early this morning. So we are still in that positive territory. If this does want to roll down and then roll back up into positive, you do have another chance for this to come up higher. Maybe that does happen going into like GDP and the initial reaction. But we want to pay attention to how this could break down. You see this left head, and then we have a little bit of a neckline here. So if this wanted to break down, we most likely would come down into this area, see some kind of bounce, grab some stuff up in here, and then break down. So really you're paying attention to this left head, and if we do break down to this level and see some kind of bounce, maybe we actually come up into that weekly expected move one more time and then start to break down from there. Tesla's one. I didn't necessarily post this on my Patreon, but you'll notice how close it is to that negative territory on a 15-minute. So this is overall just telling you that a 15-minute reversal could happen as of right now. And then you just want to pay attention to a little bit bigger time frames. Go to a 30-minute, go to an hourly. See if those negative trends are really continuing. And if you start to see it on the hourly, it's a good sign that we're going to start that negative trend overall. And maybe we'll actually see that daily chart roll over and see some kind of pullback. So we really wanted to pay attention to this. We did say we're in positive territory, so you have a chance for this to go a little bit higher. It looks like we did. The problem with that is we just gave ourselves another divergence. So we do have this big divergence. We're right next to that negative territory, and that divergence actually holds all the way across this RSI, which is a very, very good sign for the 15-minute. So this is where you can pay attention to Amazon and see how Tesla has reacted, because we did point out a 15-minute divergence that kind of looked like this one on Amazon, right? We see that one right here, but you notice we do keep curling up. We do continue that positive trend. So it's something to look out for, but it's just something that can point to some reversals on the 15-minute chart. Nvidia, actually, we're seeing this high come in, a low, and now we're starting to curl down. Okay, we're starting to see some flagging in this area, right? So we could see another leg down. And the problem with this leg down, if it's big enough, if we see a big reaction out of this and then get a bounce, you'll be well within that negative territory. Look how close that is on a 30-minute to going into a negative trend. So it's something to look out for, as we are seeing a lot of bullishness creep into this market at this top, which I really think is going to top out soon. I think it's something to pay attention to, because we're seeing a lot of stocks look like they're about to roll over into a negative trend, but we have to be patient until that happens. We do get GDP tomorrow. This is still in positive territory. You still can make another leg higher, come and close a gap or something like that before that downfall actually happens. Last thing I wanted to talk about is actually the other thing that I posted on my Patreon, because we were talking about IWM. So I'm going to switch back over to IWM. I showed you that signal this morning, and we're just overall paying attention to a possible reversal in this zone. So we talked about this in yesterday's video, how IWM does see dramatic pullbacks, dramatic sell-offs from this area, and we get bounces from the area below. So we want to pay attention. Where are we at right now? We're at the top side of that as of right now. And then we have to see, are we seeing some reversal, potential reversal signals showing as we get to the top side of that important zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to a 30-minute, and you're going to notice it right away. We're seeing a higher high come in, but the MACD isn't necessarily confirming that higher high. It's making a lower one. So we want to pay attention. It looks like the momentum has died out as we reach the top of this zone, and that could mean that we're going to break down from this level. We are still in positive territory, so if this is just some kind of quick turnaround and then we go fill a gap and then turn back around, we could actually be using this zone to spring higher. So I want to point that out. But if we do roll over into negative territory, pretty deep in that negative territory, I would even say cutting below this and closing below it on a daily, I do believe that we will actually see this reverse to lower levels, and we might even head to that downward zone that we've been talking about. So this is something very important to pay attention to, and if you're interested in joining my Patreon, I am going to be making some more daily updates throughout the day and giving you guys the weekly and monthly risk ranges. I think the overall takeaway for this video is similar to last night. It is a bullish time, but there are some signals that are telling you to be a little bit cautious. But I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I don't normally do a video in the middle of the day. I just had some extra time, so I figured I'd say hey to you guys. And now we gotta go make bread bowls. That's right, we're making bread bowls and chicken noodle soup. So I gotta go. Have a good night. Well, I guess have a good day. Good luck with all your trading the rest of the day. Peace.